ancestors as slaves can lead the greatest general strike in the history of this country, taking it to the ultra-rich and big corporations, we can do the same today. I'm calling on black people, white people, brown people, Asian people, immigrants, gay people from around this country to stand up.
Chicago is dealing with a lot of problems right now. Crime is still an issue. Businesses are shuttering, they're leaving. Families are hurting. And somehow the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, decides to continue this tug of war with the federal government. Instead of bringing that temperature down, they're turning up the heat, calling for strikes, more lawsuits, and fights that right now it looks like they can't even win.
We are still waiting to hear from Chicago police about what exactly led up to the shooting.
A child has been killed, and the scene seems to stretch all 3 floors of the building. It seems to be quite a horrific scene.
Meanwhile, the regular people, they're just trying to pay rent. They're trying to stay safe and survive this government shutdown. But Brandon Johnson has other ideas. Let's get into it. So look, I get it, especially on the progressive side. Standing up to Washington sounds really bold. It looks great on the headlines. It gets a lot of applause on certain social media apps. But the issue is that leadership isn't about theatrics, it's about timing. And right now, the people in Chicago don't really need symbolism. They need stability. Going back to the protest, Brandon Johnson said a whole lot of things, and he also talked on this interview here where Brandon Johnson is calling for a general strike during a government shutdown.
Not every day you hear a mayor of American city call for a general strike.
The best way to beat back against authoritarianism is through collective action. As the son and the product of the labor movement, the civil rights movement, it's the great potential that Dr. King imagined when he spoke before AFSCME in 1967, that if the labor rights movement and the civil rights movement were to ever collide, what enormous potential it would have.
So do you think this is going to spread? Should people start working towards this?
Well, absolutely. I believe that the climate is ripe for this, right? Because, you know, you have small business owners that are relating with the very working people that they hire. And so whether you're in a union or not in a union, we're all profoundly impacted by this, you know, unconstitutional overreach by this president.
And I think in this idea, he thinks he's empowering people, but he's not really empowering the workers. He's just risking livelihoods. I mean, think about it. Thousands of families are already missing paychecks. There's people getting laid off on the private sector. People are struggling just to make ends meet. And the mayor's answer is, hey, let's all just stop working while he continues to collect a check. That is extremely tone deaf in my opinion. I don't understand how this makes any sense right now, considering how crazy things are, that he's looking for people from all walks of life, people who could barely afford rent, while this man collects a 6-figure paycheck and have 24/7 police protection detail.
Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
He's telling everyone to stop working. Also, let's talk about the civil rights comparison Brandon Johnson keeps making. And the reason why I want to talk about this because it just doesn't hold up. When we marched during the civil rights movement, we were citizens. We were born here. We paid taxes. We contributed to building this country, and we're still getting denied basic rights under the law. Jim Crow wasn't about crossing a border illegally. It was about a government denying rights to its own people. And I think that's the crucial difference here. I think Brandon Johnson is trying to conflate the two. And the problem is illegal immigration is a violation of federal law, whether you like it or not. And whether you agree with how ICE is handling things or not, some people think is aggressive, but it's still under federal law. Comparing that to the struggles of black people fighting for equality isn't accurate. It's actually pretty insulting. In the 1960s, we were marching to get access to rights we should have already had. Black people were demanding equal treatment as Americans. What's happening now isn't the same. ICE is aggressive, yes, but they're enforcing immigration law. It looks uncomfortable, and it obviously looks messy with the back and forth between the rioters or Antifa versus ICE, but I don't think it's the same thing as Americans being denied their constitutional rights. Unless we're saying that immigrants have constitutional rights as well. That's another argument for another channel. This fight Brandon Johnson is trying to spin isn't about civil rights. It's about federal law. And the danger here is that he's trying to blend the two situations. But also, I think he's insulting what the civil rights movement was actually about. A struggle for equality and justice for citizens who had every right to be here. Many of us were born here. We are American citizens. We can debate immigration policy all day. That's not what we're going to do in this channel. But you can't rewrite history. The civil rights movement was about Americans demanding America lives up to its promises. This fight is more accurately looked at as state versus federal law. That there are certain states who are fighting back federal law, and many other states are not doing that. It's not the same. But let's talk about the crime here. Every week we see new reports, shootings, carjackings, downtown chaos.
Chicago police say a 58-year-old man was the victim of a carjacking this morning in the Loop. It happened in front of the Palmer House around 6 a.m. Two offenders jumped in the car as the man was getting belongings from his trunk.
It appears the crime scene stretches all throughout this building here behind me near 81st and Marshfield in Chicago's Auburn Gresham neighborhood. Now, police responding here around 7 o'clock this morning to reports of shots fired, and that is where they found two of the victims who were pronounced dead on scene. The third person who was shot is believed to be in his 20s, and he was taken to Christ Hospital with serious injuries. Several people living in this area say this building and block have been a hot spot for crimes recently.
We can confirm, according to Chicago police, that 4 people were shot, 3 men and 1 woman. We're told by police that they were on a sidewalk when they were hit in a drive-by.
30 gunshots woke me up a couple hours ago, and I didn't come out until I got a sense that it was all over. It's frequent. We hear gunfire in this neighborhood frequently, mostly people leaving bars, fighting with each other.
Why does Chicago have the highest murder rate of all the big cities?
Well, we are not in the top 30 in terms of our murder rate. Indeed,
well,
our murder rate it has been cut in half over the last 4 years, and every year it's gone down by double digits. And if you look at all of the violent crime over the last 4 years,
here's a map.
They've all gone down.
U.S. cities, 17.47 per 100,000 population. Chicago is number 1 over Philadelphia, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, Phoenix, Los Angeles, New York, and San Diego.
What I'm explaining to you
now
is
you're
when
talking
you want to
about
fight
violent
crime. Look, you can pull statistics up.
No,
I can
these are
too.
murders.
I'm explaining to you that our murder rate has been cut in half. And very importantly, Brett, and you got to hear this, very importantly, we've been doing the things that are necessary to bring crime down.
So you see all those clips, you see all the issues that's going on in the last week. It don't even take that much effort to just go on Google or go on YouTube and type out what's going on in Chicago. And you see what City Hall is focused on. A political stunt that won't stop the violence, won't fix housing, definitely won't make people feel safer. If anything, it divides the city even more, because when people are scared and broke, they don't want ideology, they don't want nice speeches, they want true leadership. So you have this back and forth between ICE, and at this point, you can't ban federal law enforcement. You can challenge them in court, and that's how the system works. But pretending the city can just block federal investigations, you're just wasting time. It just basically becomes political theater. The mayor and the governor keep acting like every disagreement is going to be this full-blown street fight. And all that shouting doesn't make them heroes. It makes life harder for the people they claim to protect. And when this rhetoric replaces results, the whole city loses. Remember, Brandon Johnson is staring at a $1.1 billion deficit, mostly because of how he spent the money. So instead of chasing the cameras, how about trying to fix the chaos? People are worried about the groceries, the bills, and safety, not about who wins a political argument. At this point, I believe that Johnson and Pritzker should be calming down the tensions, not fanning the flames. You see the clips of people fighting with the ICE agents. Chicago is in a really terrible spot. They need better policing. They need jobs that last. And a real mayor who fights for the people, his people, the people in Chicago, not everyone else. No one is asking for perfection, especially in Chicago. They have a lot of problems. But when your city is hurting, your first job isn't to go to the cameras and try to get a nice speech. It's trying to fix the bleeding at home. Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker are trying to find ways to get a bigger profile. I know Pritzker was once considered a vice president candidate. That didn't work. He's probably looking to run for president. It's really funny when Brandon Johnson is talking about fighting the billionaires, right? Let's go after the billionaires. But the richest politician is literally in his state. Pritzker is a billionaire. Where's the smoke for him? He's a billionaire. He has probably found many ways to exploit people. Where's the smoke for him? It just shows how everything is just so fake. Nothing is real. Everyone is trying to get their viral moment, and it doesn't help the real people. Because if the people at the top won't focus on the folks on the bottom, then all this talk about progress really means nothing. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.